Alright, so finally, let's get back to putting this turbo pedestal on here. You see you got two orifices there. They're stained yellow from the factory O-rings. We'll install a new set of pedestal O-rings in there, coated in oil. Alright, so here comes the real fun, my friend. I'm gonna make sure and get this on here without dispositioning those things. Those O-rings, I mean. Or pinching them or anything to knock them out of place. And then we'll be doing this again. And I'm trying to take one last look. Yep. Make sure they're where they're supposed to be. Well, where's the fourth bolt? I know I just set four up here just a minute ago. It's always the crazy stuff that goes on with me. Okay, so we've got 18 foot-pounds of torque on these 10mm bolts that hold the pedestal down, are about 216 inch-pounds. Do not want to snap one of these off. That will not be a bit of fun. And the pesky treble one in the back. Gonna have to use a swivel socket now because of my new fuel setup. This will be the one to break. Yeah. I'm gonna be a chicken. I'll consider that installed. And you may notice the solenoid there to control the oil for the EBPV actuator is still missing. I've cleaned that sucker up. I'm gonna put the O-rings on it right now and get that shoved in there. I'll go ahead and shove that on up in there. Alright, then we got this then we got this 13mm nut and bracket that retain your pedestal oil control solenoid or EVPV solenoid, whatever you want to call that thing. Alright, then install your old O-rings on your pedestal there. If you use the factory ones, they're actually yellow. I do have a brand new set of factory ones, but this came with the pedestal rebuild kit, so I just preferred to use these. Alright, here's the fun part that you really must not mess up. Well, really any of it don't mess up on. But anyhow, make sure that the exhaust valve on your turbo is open when you go to set it down in here. Take your time. I'm sorry that I'm not giving you guys the best a lot. It's kind of hard. I mean, it's hard enough for a mechanic just to try and get the lot where he needs it anyway. But, you know, the goal here is to not pinch those O-rings that we just put on there. They need to stay right in perfect position, else I have to do this crap over again. Okay, before sticking this turbo on here, there is one thing that I do want to point out to you to make sure that you realize there is a locating dowel sticking up on the turbo up pipe collector. And on your turbo, there's the receiving end. That has to line up. When we go to set the turbo on there, you see there's 2 points, well really 3 including the actuator rod as well. There's 3 points to look out for on here. You know, you're trying to keep your O-rings in position, set that down on the pedestal correctly, get it on the actuator correctly, and get it on the locator dowel correctly. So before you begin, make sure any of your cute wires are well out of your way. I'm dreading really putting the clamps on these parts. Anyway, I haven't got anything supporting myself on. We'll recheck the O-rings. Okay. Oh, perfect. And you know what I forgot to do? I really just want to grab a switch and beat myself for this, because now I get to pull that off one more time and do this again. That's because I forgot. This must be on there before you begin. Must. It needs to be on the collector side. I can't believe I got ahead of myself a little there. Completely forgot. Okay, so there you see I got the clamp attached to the collector there now. You know, don't put your turbo on backwards or anything. I'll go ahead and I just want to get them started to keep it from scooching too much on the pedestal. I don't actually want to tighten them down the least little bit because it's going to have to be finessed into everything. Okay, here I got you as a little better angle if I don't block it, but you know, I can't help that. I have to get this done right. So I take the bolt back out because I haven't got it lined up with the dowel. So that kind of sucks. I'm hoping here in just a second to correct that. I do have the actuator arm clipped. And I'm not. Yeah. Now it's on that, and then you know I'm terrified that my O-rings are pinched under there, so I'm going to do what I can to just double check that. It's probably a mistake, but oh, it sure look good. Get down there and look hard. Yeah. They're still in place after all that. So I should have just ignored it. I can't help it sometimes, guys. I gotta double check myself. And I believe we're good. On the flange on the back there. Yeah. Alright. So then you'll go ahead and put your two 13mm bolts that clamp your turbo down to the pedestal back in, one front, one in back. You may have to make sure and hold your mouth right when trying to get these bolts in. And you know, it don't matter if you cross thread them or nothing, right? Yeah, you definitely don't want to do any of that. So take your time trying to make sure that they're not cross threaded. You know, after all, you are sinking them into aluminum. But yeah, I can tell they're turning, so they're not cross threaded. And then on these, it's I think it's like 35 foot-pounds according to Garrett. And that would make it about 420 inch-pounds roughly. I forgot on the pedestal bolts, and I may have initially over tightened one, I'm not sure, but I'm not going to go back to find out. If it leaks, I'll just loosen them and do it again, I guess. But I'm not gonna completely tighten this sucker down until I got the clamp on there, because I'm sure it probably wants to move just a little. But I do want to get the bolts started in there for sure. I think we're gonna have to get a little extension there. Okay, I truly wish that I'd have filmed this. I've already got the back clamp on there. Man, I got that on so quick. Way faster than getting it off. I do want to say my best friend in the job was this to pull the other side along. So you might want to try one of those O-ring picks. The one that's curved down, not sideways. That did help a whole lot. So the next one I'm going to tackle is the clamp that goes there on the down pipe. That should be a lot easier. But, you know, I bet it goes the opposite with me. Before I clamp this down, I did want to show you another little trick. If when you're removing these, you're going to have a problem with, you know, this one to come out when you're removing them. So in order to stop that, a good course of action would be stick a bolt up in there so it can't do that garbage. See, look at that. And then you could loosen it, even though the clamp is still stuck on there. On the, you know, when you're taking it off, I mean, even though you loosen it, the clamp doesn't come off until you get it off. Well, the bolt wants to come on back that way as you're using a wrench on it, so, you know, put the bolt in there to retain it so it can't do that. That'll save you a lot of time. Now, I'm going to have to move the light a little, obviously. I get working there with it like that, I hope. This doesn't make it more difficult for everybody else. But do keep in mind, I gotta get my truck fixed. Yeah, it looks like you can still sort of see what I'm doing there. Just bring it down a touch. There. Alright. So I took a 3-pound hammer and stuck the handle of it under there to hold the down pipe up after I disconnected it, and it held it almost close to perfect. Need to get it back just a little so I can get the ring in there. That's easier than I thought it was going to be. Now mine moves a lot easier because I have the exhaust cut off just right at the back of the cap, so there's not much there really, and there's not much folding it up. This definitely can turn into a royal pain really fast. Hopefully that's not what's going to happen here today. I think it'd be easier to put the ring on the top if it don't fall down it. Hopefully you can see here what I got going on. I wedged a board in there to help bring this thing up to where it needs to be. Of course, an air ratchet or cordless power tool would be much more preferred here. But here I'm using a cheap crafty ratchet that can't keep up with itself. You might tighten it down until you start feeling the thread strip, I guess. You know, you don't want that to come off. Alright. Finally, that's all done and out of the way. That's the first time I left the factory exhaust in one of these trucks too. Usually when I'm doing something like this, put a down pipe in while I'm at it, but well, I don't have the money for that crap. So now it's time to torque down the turbo hold down bolts. So anyway, 35 or so inch-pounds, 35 or so foot-pounds on these hold down bolts. This torque wrench here we've got, it's just an inch-pound, so I tried to get it close to 420. For any of you that don't know, 1 foot-pound is equivalent to 12 inch-pounds, so if you have to convert it to inch-pounds, you just multiply that by 12. And tighten that sucker a little more. I think that's going faster than the rest, I'm not sure. No. Quit moving, I don't guess so then. Well, if it quit moving, it's probably tight enough. Whatever you do, just don't over tighten these. You don't want to break anything off or strip anything. Took these off, they made me grunt to get them off. It's not the way it's really supposed to go. Probably another good course action would be put some Loctite on these bolts when you go to put them in. And say what happened is a previous owner thought that the O-rings were leaking, so just like, I'll snug the easiest bolts I can get to down and see if that resolves my issue. And then he just decided to probably ignore it because it's an annoying thing to do. And I mean, well, when I first got it, it wasn't leaking much oil. But once it got cold, it sure started. I don't know. I don't know if this torque wrench is worth a fire, if it's everything. Click. There. Recheck the front one just for the fun of it. That's what it says. Alright. Now, I got my spider pipe or Y pipe or collector pipe, whatever you want to call that. I need to get that cleaned up so I can just force it down in there. Then give this thing a test run. Test start anyway, I ain't going to go anywhere with it like that, but I'm going to start it up and see what happens. You're going to want to hook up the solenoid for your pedestal actuator, which just about made my wires too short to do mine. But I also broke the connector off, so I'll have to fix something on there to hold that in there, probably a zip tie. Handyman secret weapon. But make sure that's done before you continue on next. Alright, hopefully you got a good view of this. My viewfinder on my camera is taking a crap out on me. But anyway, we're going to put this crossover intake pipe, spider pipe, whatever this thing you want to call, on here. Now, the way I found to do these to make it go the easiest is to start with, put the clamp over here on the outlet of this, and also need to get some fresh oil and coat that lightly. It would have been preferable that that seal there had been replaced, but guess what? I didn't get one. Do that another day when I put a new turbo wheel on this thing. So here we go with installing the pipe. You want to put your boot down here on the passenger side, intake plenum with the clamps on it. And here on the actual pipe itself, on the driver's side, put your boot there with your clamps up top. You'll notice I got mine pretty clean. So that does probably help a little, maybe, I don't know. But what I do is make sure everything's in my way. But I fit it to the driver's side, the intake plenum first. And then once I've gotten it started going down into there, I probably should use my bare hand and not risk letting the part of this glove rip and go down into there. But I'll work on fitting it into the passenger side. And not quite ain't working the way it's supposed to. You just gotta make sure that it's actually going in and not cutting your boot or pressing it too hard into the intake plenum and damaging it. There we go. That wasn't too bad. Not at all. First thing to do is to deal with the clamp between the turbo and that. I got a 5/16 socket here on the nut of this worm clamp. It's kind of beyond me why they didn't put the regular bolt style clamps on instead, but whatever. I guess I could have ran out and bought me one if I wanted to, but not fooling with that crap today. Make sure and put it at the top where you can get to it easy. And you have to take this mess off again. After I tighten up these boots at the bottom here, I want to start this thing up. See how it breathes. And I think it's like 600 foot-pounds of torque on these instead of 850. You know, just till you get close to stripping it out and then back off right as soon as it does. It would be extremely beneficial though to double check your boots and ensure that they are on properly and not gouged or something crazy. Make sure that they're not just shoved too far into the plenum to where it's pushing them out of shape or something too. Okay, I'm not going to record me tightening up these boring clamps down here at the bottom. I think you can understand how to do that. Be with you in a moment. Okay, go ahead and reconnect your intercooler line. Again, make sure it's not catching and acting retarded with you. It's usually going to do that where you can't see it. You'll know you got it when it goes on there easily. Sure might don't want to come all the way up. I only had it off for a couple of weeks and been in a crazy position. I can't get it any further. I'm not worried about it this second. I can come back and fine tune this part later real easy. I really just want to get all this on here and start this sucker up. Oh, one other thing. So when you're tightening the worm clamps there at the bottom, where at the intake plenum for the engine, careful how tight you make those. Those are just aluminum. If you squeeze them out of shape, you'll make it to where you never can get them to seal right again. I'd also recommend to get you some of those inserts for them. I wish I had some, but anyhow, let's proceed on down the line with what all needs to be done here. I got a couple of these, and I can't remember which one goes to which. I think that goes to fuel bowl, though. No, they can't plug in the wrong place. That's alright. There we go. Plug the mass airflow sensor back in, because it definitely won't like it if we fire it up without that in it. Then we got some hoses to connectificate. Definitely the map sensor, because it's not gonna like that. Instead of well, we'll go ahead and just hook it up, because there's no point in trying to get it mounted where it's supposed to go yet, because the intercooler line has to go over there first. There. But we're going to go ahead and plug it up. There's that. Not going to worry about hooking up the heater there. That's not actually needed. We're going to start it without that. All your hoses for your wastegate solenoid, and they go on like this. The green one that's going down here at the bottom, that goes into your intake hose. The red one goes all the way back to the wastegate solenoid, and it also connects down here at the bottom of the intake manifold. And I have to go find the solenoid that controls that. I don't want to go any further until I hear this thing fire up, so let's just see what happens when I do all that. But always whenever you've worked on your vehicle, double check to make sure you ain't got crazy tools laying anywhere. Like I just found a pry bar laying in the front there that I totally forgot was anywhere under here. Make sure everything's safe before you plug your electrical back up. Okay, so here's what's going on. I'm gonna do a test fire up real quick. Nothing real serious. Got the batteries all hooked up. So the things that have been done since the last time this thing ran was turbo pedestal rebuild for the piston actuator for the EBPV valve there on the exhaust. Also replaced the ICP sensor and installed the HPOT gauge to go along with it to monitor it from here on out. So first, when I go to crank on this thing, to make it pretty clear here, it's going to be a no start. There's no power to the engine at all. The harness is disconnected. So let me hook my alternator back up and we'll get on this. Okay, I got everything connected except for the main engine wiring harness. So it's not going to be a real trial. The reason for this is to get oil up into the turbo and the rest of the engine, because it's been sitting for about, I don't know, a week or so. So again, make sure nothing's gonna get caught in your serpentine belt and go crazy wild on you, or anywhere else. Nothing's gonna catch fire, do any cool tricks. Oh, I need to find something to rig this for 1 second because I do want my gauges on. Alright, I had to hardwire my gauges on there because I don't have a key on trigger wire yet for that. Anyway, just want to get some oil pressure up in it before I actually really try to start it. But let's see what happens. Oh yeah, I need to plug my edge in. I'm not worried about what codes it's going to pop right now because it's not all the way assembled. It's going to throw a couple, I'm sure. I don't have the glow plugs hooked up either, but it would probably start fairly quick without them. See if the HPOT gauge shows anything yet. Now I want to go hook the engine wire and harness. Well, alright, the harness connector's in. So let's see what we get. Now, hopefully it really does start. Wow. Not much on the H-pop when starting, huh? Just checking the smoke. I'm gonna hit the glow plugs once. It's been sitting for a while there. That'll give it a little haffiness to go. That's always the best way to do it. Just jam some wires together, right? Now, phew, raw fuel. There we go.
Now let's see if we can catch that valve operating over there.
Okay, you may not see very much, but I ain't got the light up here in the hood anymore. I got it all dressed back up, except for the glow plug relays, and I don't have the solenoid for the wastegate bolted back onto the intake crossover yet. I'm going to start it up and let it warm up for a test drive, so hopefully this goes good. Alright, here we go, let's go. And also the oil pressure gauge, that doesn't work. I don't have the hose that goes to that. That's a mechanical gauge, not electronic. Okay, well that'll do it for this video, and I thank you so much for your time and watching, and I hope that it was of help to you. You got what you needed. In closing, I just want to praise my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, and I ask that He richly bless and guide you and your families. I love all of you guys, even the worst of my enemies, and if you need to know who Jesus Christ is, what He did to save you, and how you can be saved, then check out sharingthetruthinlove.com and click on the Salvation tab to learn all about the Creator of the universe and what all He's done for you. Hope you all have yourselves a great day. Take care.